Hey there, welcome back to my kitchen. This week I did want to share some recipes that are super quick and easy just because this time of year it is so busy. There are so many activities and extra things just going on, but also you don't want to spend a lot of money because you're spending a lot of money on Christmas, holiday dinners, all the extra activities that you like to do with your families. So today I wanted to share some recipes that are budget friendly and also very quick and easy to make. So I hope you enjoy them and let's just go ahead and get started. First up today, we're going to make some chili cheese baked potatoes, and let me tell you, it has been ages since I have made one of these. So to make this simple, I am just poking some holes in my potato with a fork, and I'm going to microwave these for about 8 to 10 minutes until they are nice and soft. But if you have the time, you can bake these in your oven, and they do turn out a lot better that way. Now over onto my stovetop, I'm just emptying out 1 can of chili. You can do with beans or without beans, however you like it. And to make this even more budget friendly, the next time you make chili at your house, save a little bit of it, put it in your freezer, and then you have it to use anytime. You can just warm it right up. This can of chili only cost me about $2, so it was no big deal, and this was plenty of chili for me and my husband. While that's warming up, I am just going to chop up 1 green onion into nice tiny pieces. Here is my potato after coming out of the microwave. As you can see, when I press on it, it is nice and soft. That's just how I want it to be. I went ahead and just cut a little slit on the top so that I could kind of open it up and mash it just a little bit before adding my toppings. Now I'm just adding some of that chili over top of the potato first. I also want to mention to salt and pepper your potato. I totally forgot to do that. On the second one that I made for myself, I actually did that. My husband didn't care if it had salt and pepper, so I went ahead and just gave this one to him, and then I added salt and pepper to mine. Then over top of that chili, you're going to want to add a handful of shredded mild cheddar cheese. Let that melt and then add your sour cream and green onions. Potatoes with chili on them are so filling, so it really works out great. These are pretty inexpensive to make, and the fact that it keeps you full all night is awesome. And then over to the side, I just steamed up some broccoli to go with this, and that was dinner. Now we're making some clean out the fridge goulash. So this may not seem super traditional, but like I said, we are cleaning out the fridge and the cabinet to make this goulash tonight. To start, I'm adding 1 pound of ground beef over into a skillet with half of a yellow onion chopped up. I'm gonna let these two cook up together, and then once they are fully cooked, I'm adding in about 1 teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of minced garlic, and I'm just going to let those cook together for about 30 seconds. Next, I'm adding in 2 cups of tomato sauce. I just used what I had in the cabinet for this, so I had a little bit of pizza sauce left over, and then I had a can of tomato sauce, so I went ahead and just mixed them together to make that 2 cups. And then I'm adding in 1 can of diced tomatoes. Now I'm adding in about 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, and then for this I will use any type of cheese that I have on hand, whether that be a shredded cheese or a sliced cheese. Tonight I just so happen to have 3 lonely pieces of American cheese in the fridge, so I added those in and just kind of let them melt down into the sauce. To season this up, I'm using about half a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to give this a really good mix together and let it continue to simmer on my stove. I let that simmer for about 10 minutes until my noodles were fully cooked. Normally, I would use elbow noodles, and I'm sure you would too. However, I didn't have elbow noodles on this night, and this is what I had planned for dinner. So I just went ahead and used up the noodles I had in my cabinet, so really any noodles will work. This was a total of 10 ounces of noodles. I added that sauce right in with my noodles and then gave this a good stir to combine. Last but not least, I am adding in just a little bit of sugar. I added in about a half tablespoon, but you can add a little bit more or less or skip it completely. I just like to give it that slight little bit of sweetness in here. Once I stirred that up, it was ready to go. I just topped it with a little bit of parsley, and to go along with this, I served up some of my 3-ingredient breadsticks. I can link that recipe below for you. They are so good and so easy. And then I also had some Caesar salad on the side. Next up, we are going to make some super easy tostadas. I know these are not authentic, but that's why I'm saying they are very easy and quick tostadas. So if you're looking for a quick and easy dinner, these are definitely ideal. To start, I just went ahead and chopped up one small onion. My onion was very small, so if you're using a larger onion, I would just use half of it. I'm also adding in 1 pound of ground beef, and I'm going to let these two things cook up together. Once they're done, I'm adding about 3 to 4 tablespoons of taco seasoning, and I'm just going to get that mixed together until my ground beef is nicely covered. Over onto my cutting board, I sat out 6 of my tostadas that I warmed up in the oven. I just followed the package directions for those, and you can buy so many of these little tostadas for very, very little cost. So that's a nice thing about these, you can make a ton. I laid out 6 to start, but I actually only made 4 in the beginning just because I wasn't sure how hungry my husband was going to be. So I just let him make more later on that evening if he wanted them. In my freezer, I had some leftover refried beans that I had made, so I went ahead and just used that. But you can just warm up 1 can of refried beans if you want to, and you'll just spread that out on your tostada first. Then I'm adding 1 small spoonful of the ground beef onto each one, spreading that out as well. You really don't need to put on a ton because you're already going to be adding a lot of toppings on here, so it does get full pretty quickly. Next, I'm just adding a handful of shredded Mexican style cheese over the top of each one. And then from this point on, you can pretty much add any toppings that you want. So I know that we love sour cream, so I went ahead and added a nice big spoonful of sour cream over top of each one. I love salsa, so I'm adding salsa onto mine and some lettuce. My husband is a very picky individual, so I just kept his nice and simple and added hot sauce over the top. But this is what mine looked like when it was all done. These are extremely quick and easy to make, and like I said, I know these are not 100% authentic. You don't have to be perfect in the kitchen every single night as long as you have dinner on the table, and I know that we will both enjoy this. Last but not least, we are making this really easy and super good chicken mac and cheese. I went ahead and preheated my oven to 350 degrees, and then I had 1 large chicken breast. You don't need any more than that, 1 will be plenty. I'm just cutting that up into nice little bite-sized pieces. Over to a nice big pot on my stove, I'm adding in about 1 to 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and then I'm going to let that heat up so that I can cook my chicken in here. To season my chicken, I'm using a couple shakes of pepper, about a half teaspoon of garlic powder, and about 1 teaspoon of ranch seasoning. I'm going to get that combined really well and let that chicken cook all the way through. While the chicken is cooking, I am getting some water ready back here. My stove takes forever to get anything to come to a boil, so my chicken did finish while I was waiting on that to start boiling, and I just went ahead and set my chicken aside for right now. But now that that water is boiling, I'm adding 2 boxes of the Great Value macaroni and cheese spirals. You can use any type of macaroni and cheese that you want. You can use Kraft mac and cheese if you want, Velveeta, it doesn't really matter. But the Great Value ones are way cheaper than any other one. I think they run about 50 to 60 cents a box. And I got the spirals just so it would add some more texture. Once my pasta was done, I went ahead and added it in with the chicken along with about half a cup of half and half, or milk will work just fine. Both packets of the cheese sauce, and then I gave that a really good stir to combine, making sure that I was scraping the sides and the bottom to pick up any extra flavor that the chicken left. Hopefully I don't confuse you with this next part, but if your family likes broccoli, you can cook up 1 frozen bag of broccoli, and then once it's cooked, just chop it right up. If you've been here for a while, then you will know that my husband is a huge broccoli hater. So for this, I just cooked up a small amount of broccoli for myself. I chopped it up, and that's what I have right here in this pan. So in order to make sure that there is no broccoli in my husband's food, what I'm going to do is just over here into my little 8x8 baking dish, I'm spraying it down with some nonstick spray, and I'm going to add half of this mixture into one side first. Once I have half of the mac and cheese and chicken on one side of this pan, I'm adding in the broccoli to the remaining mac and cheese, mixing it together, and then adding it on to the opposite side. Like I said, if your whole family likes broccoli, just cook up 1 12-ounce frozen bag and chop it up, mix it in with the whole thing, and then you can add all of that into your pan at one time. But I really try to be a nice wife and keep the broccoli out of my husband's food because I know how much he hates it. I just made sure that was even in the pan, and then over the top I'm adding a handful of shredded mild cheddar cheese. If you have breadcrumbs, you can add some breadcrumbs over the top of this as well and make this more like a baked macaroni and cheese. However, I did not have any after Thanksgiving, so I just went ahead and added some parsley over the top and then put this in my oven to bake for about 15 minutes. Here's what it looked like after that 15 minutes. Everything was nicely warmed through and the cheese melted over the top. This is so easy to do, and you can keep this extremely inexpensive, which is also really nice. If you have extra cheese, you can also mix that in with the noodles to make it even more cheesy, but you really don't need it. And this broccoli gets you a vegetable in there, which is also a plus. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, don't forget to leave me a flower down in the comments. I really appreciate you being here, and I will see you guys back here next time. Bye!